Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about pretty much how I find time to study in my day with my kind of busy schedule. So, a little bit of context is I do work full time. I do work about an average of 40 hours a week, 80 hours every 2 weeks, and I go to school full time. So, I'm going to be talking about how I get my studying hours in with that schedule. So, I'm going to cut straight to the chase. The This is coming from someone who works full time and goes to school full time, along with being at about 186 hours of input. So, therefore, I can maybe do some things where if you have less hours, you wouldn't be able to do, or if you had more hours, it may not be super beneficial to do what I do. So, basically, what I do is on my commute to work while I'm driving to work and driving back from work, I listen to the Dreaming Spanish, whether it be whatever videos came out that day or series I'm interested in or the podcast that they release weekly. I listen to that while I'm driving to work. And that's mainly how I get my studying hours in. That along with the weekends. The weekends are phenomenal time for studying for me because I don't really do too much on the weekends besides the occasional going out, hanging out with friends, family. So whenever I'm not doing that, I usually try to study 2 to 3 hours on the every Saturday or Sunday, while on the normal days, on the weekdays, Monday through Friday, I typically try to get in at the very least an hour. My usual commute to work is about 30 minutes there, I want to say 35 minutes back, so I usually get at least an hour every day, which is what I'm going for, the least amount I'm going for. But my job, I'm very fortunate to where it's a blue collar job, so I have to drive to the job site, and I'm usually not the designated driver, so I get a ride in the passenger seat. And if I'm going on a big cruise, I get a ride in the back of a truck. So basically, I can get my studying. Say we're working in somewhere far away, like an hour away. That's an hour there and an hour back of studying I can get on top of my drive um to and from work. Now, usually it doesn't go like that. Usually I try to get, say the drive's an hour away, I usually try to get maybe half of that time studying before I get distracted by some Instagram reels. But yeah, usually that's what I try and do is whenever I have time I driving to and from work, I listen to the Dreaming Spanish, and whenever I'm driving to the job site, I can watch it on my phone or listen to it if I want to. And that's mainly how I get my studying in on top of just normal weekend studyings. Now, I'm in a fortunate position because at 186 hours, I can more or less still learn stuff and still understand what's going on without having visual input. However, when I was starting out and I remember I tried doing this at about 20 hours, I wasn't really able to learn as well as I could have, because at that level you rely so much on visual input. So I would say if if you were to if you were at between 0 hours and 150 hours, I would still really say if you can find some way of trying to watch the videos to see the visual input along with the comprehensible audio input, that would be perfect. When I started this service, I didn't have a job, so a lot of my time in my day was freed up to watch and develop the skills to where I wouldn't need so much visual input in order to learn, so I can just listen to it. So once you hit about, I spoke about this in my last video, once you hit about 150 hours, that's when so many possibilities start opening up to being able to listen more and not so much harder. Whenever I'm in the car listening on my way to and from work, obviously I'm paying attention to the road, so I'm not really super as focused as I can be. That's why I try to listen to stuff. I sort by difficulty and I try to listen to stuff a little bit easier than what I typically do, just so I can still learn and understand without having to fully focus on that opposed to the road. So that's usually what I try to do. That's my general setup as of right now, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But I do want to close this video with saying a little story that happened yesterday. So yesterday I was working, right, and it was me and my coworker and two temporary workers. We were working at this house, and the temporary workers only spoke Spanish, right? And I was like, okay, I can't really speak Spanish, but I can understand a bit. So if they ask me something or tell me something, I can maybe try to communicate with them, and vice versa. So anyways, funny story is they were talking to my coworker who speaks Spanish and English, right? And they were saying, all in Spanish, by the way, they were saying, oh yeah, does he speak Spanish? I don't, and then this younger girl, it was a older woman, I want to say 35, and a younger woman about no older than 21 years old. And the younger woman was saying, oh yeah, I don't think he understands a thing we're saying. And then the older woman was like, yeah, does he understand anything, to my coworker? And he was like, yeah, I think he understands a little bit, because I tell him I'm learning Spanish. And they were surprised, and they were like asking me stuff. And I was playing it off like, oh no, I don't really know too much. But I was able to understand what they were saying. And that was yesterday. So again, real quick, if you're watching this, you probably are interested in the service maybe, or are using it yourself. If by any chance you haven't used Dreaming Spanish, it works. Trust me, it works. And they were speaking, obviously I couldn't understand everything they were saying. They speak really fast, but that little stuff I was able to get, it was all in Spanish. I was able to understand what they were saying. Furthermore, during our lunch break, they were just having conversations about how she, the older woman, about 35, how she had a hard time in her life, how she had to work 2 jobs, and it was stressful. And then my boss was talking about, something about haircuts, how they're really cheap in this one part of town, and all that stuff I was able to get without, it was all in Spanish. So cool little story. And it's when you pick up stuff like that you weren't able to before, and you can see your growth, it really starts, it's amazing, man. So yeah, that's all I really have for you today. And thanks for all the support in the last video. I didn't think it was going to do as good. I didn't think anyone was going to watch it. So all of you who commented, it means the world to me. And thank you so much. And I'll be trying to post videos every 3 to 5 days. So yeah, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.